You're listening to The Real Fan Review with Hav, Sanj, Al, and B.
What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. Today with me, we got my brother B.
Hey, bonjour.
Bonjour, B. We got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yes. And we're wishing our boy Sanj there happy birthday this day. Happy birthday, brother. Enjoy it, man.
Yeah, man.
I think he's hitting a big number today, too.
21.
Yeah, man. So listen, today on the show, man, we're going to be talking about the sequel, to Borat, the subsequent movie film. We're also going to give you some news stories from this week first, going into the Fast and Furious possibly ending, Jared Leto and Joe Manganiello being put back onto Justice League there, with the Snyder Cut. And last but not least, we got some big news that came out today, because normally we record on Sundays, but we're recording on Monday night this week. We got possible Oscar Isaac cast as Moon Knight for Disney Plus. So let's get right into the big news that came out today. Oscar Isaac possibly cast in Marvel's series Moon Knight. Now, as you guys know, Oscar Isaac is a great actor. If you ever seen him in Ex Machina, which is incredible sci-fi right there. It's a good sci-fi movie. But he's also known for Poe Dameron in our Star Wars, the last 3 episodes there. So, I mean, I'm personally excited to see him. He's a great actor. An actor of his caliber in the Marvel series is just phenomenal. I think he'll be able to play all the aspects of, the Moon Knight character there. Al, I mean, any thoughts on Oscar Isaac being put into Marvel Disney Plus?
I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, like, as you said, if they can bring people like him of his caliber into it, just lends to the quality of the series and the show. And then for the potential of then incorporating it into movies, his character, unlike what they did on Netflix with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, where they just left them, outside of the MCU. Mm-hmm. You might now be able to bring these guys into the actual movies and still have their series.
Yeah.
It's given me a lot of hope for what these next phases of the MCU is going to entail.
Yeah, man. And a person like with his star power to be in a movie, they're definitely not going to keep him just to the Disney Plus series. They're going to bring him over to the real deal there. Now, Brandon, man, I think you know a little bit more about Moon Knight than Al and I. So what's your thoughts there with Oscar Isaac?
I think that's awesome. Moon Knight is kind of like Marvel's Batman in essence. Even though everyone wants to say Tony Stark is Marvel's Batman, it's really Moon Knight who takes a lot of reminiscence of him. So I think Oscar Isaac is going to kill the part. Having Moon Knight that kind of almost like a billionaire playboy, who fights crime and everything like that, and how his story kind of develops from there, where things can get supernatural, things can get kind of crazy. If you're reading the comics right now, Moon Knight now has the Phoenix Force in him. So things like that. Like there's a lot of avenues you can go with Moon Knight other than just him being a vigilante or him being like a Batman clone. He has so much story, and to bring that to Disney Plus and then potentially the same way you guys are talking about it, bring it to a Marvel movie that's epic. I could see him in a Spider-Man movie. I could see him in an Avengers,
Right.
I think it's a really awesome addition for Oscar Isaac, and I think an awesome addition as a superhero for Marvel.
Awesome, man. Yeah, man. And listen, just word to, the people listening to the podcast or watching the podcast on YouTube. It's not official just yet. It's just something that Deadline is reporting, stating that, that's Oscar Isaac signing to the Marvel series. But there's nothing confirmed just yet. So, we always keep an eye on that, because even She-Hulk is saying that she's not She-Hulk in the Disney series. Yeah. So we're gonna wait.
It's like Marvel saying, that I'm not playing Nova yet, even though,
clear. It's clear.
Tossing out there, Marvel. Make it confirm that I'm playing Nova. I want my own Disney Plus series.
There you go, Brandon. That's how you're going to do it. Oh, man. And then listen, in other news that's kind of heartbreaking, but honestly, maybe it might be due time. Fast and Furious, they're talking about ending it after Fast and Furious 10 and 11. Now, granted, Fast 9 was the movie that just got pushed back till next year. So we'll get that movie. I believe it's April of next year or May of next year, 2021. But after that, F10 and F11 is going to be a 2-series movie that's going to end it all for Fast and Furious. I call bullshit. These movies make way too much money. But Brandon, what's your thoughts on Fast and Furious possibly ending after 2 more movies?
I read an article about, the plans for Fast and Furious, and it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this 2-parter, have F10 and then, kind of like a Infinity War Endgame type deal. And I was like, oh, we're comparing Fast and Furious.
We're comparing Fast and Furious to
I was like,
Endgame.
all right. But it was a talk that no, this is the end of like the story, this is the end of Dominic Toretto's story. And I'm like, all right, but like, do you want to see Michelle Rodriguez's story? Like, I love Michelle Rodriguez, but I think we got a lot in those last 2 decades, like, I don't also want to see Tyrese. I don't care what Tyrese has to do. So like, I think, to be honest, I think this is going to be the end of Fast and Furious for a while in terms of movies, until maybe like a decade from now, someone brings it back and with a young kid, this and that, blah, blah, blah. They already have the show on Netflix right now, the cartoon animated show. I could see them doing more animated shows or some kind of tie-in type thing. But I think this is gonna be it. I mean, they're going on almost 2.5 decades when F11 finally comes out. So,
oh man, that's one series that I can't wait to watch with my sons, man. Fast and Furious. I can't even imagine my oldest son. Forget it with Fast and Furious. I'm not going to hear the end of it.
Think about it right now. If you had a kid in 2000. You'd be watching F9 with your son who'd be 20 years old. Like, imagine.
Oh my God.
Like, right? I think it's time.
Oh my God, man. Now, Al, man, I mean, listen, like Brandon's been saying, we've been watching Fast and Furious since Jesus. I think they came out when we were in college and stuff. So it's just insane to see where it's going now. I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think there's going to just end right there, or we're going to get a bunch of little movies? Just like, we see The Rock has his own line right now.
Yeah. I don't know, depending on how long it takes, because what is it, like usually 2 to 3 years between each one. So even if 9 comes out next year, you're talking we're not supposedly being done with this until like 2027. So one thing I can see them doing is bringing up his son into it. Like maybe between 10 and 11, there's big jumps in the time. So like that now, so that now you're dealing with like a teenage to early 20s.
The Young Avengers.
What was Dom's son's name? The son, his son.
Didn't even Brian, no? I thought you named
Brian. That's right. Yeah. So like a young Brian and his partner, like whoever his partner is going to be, and then now that's where they take off. So gotcha. I could see them maybe doing something like that in order to keep it going, maybe bring in another younger crowd back into it.
Gotcha.
You make it sound like Fast and the Furious is the Star Wars of the future generation. Like, I'm not about that. Like, I'm not about
I can see them trying it.
They're putting out better movies. Those movies are making money.
30 years from now, they're going to have the Fast and Furious, like, episode F12. Like, with Dominic Toretto's son, like, get the new generation. Like, I can't.
Yeah. And Dom's the bad guy. I'm your father, Brian. Oh my God, just so crazy. I mean, I honestly do think they'll continue it with little side stories. Again, you see The Rock and who's Deadpool's character? Jason Statham and
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, you got all these guys. They can go off on that thing. Except, like I said, I don't know if you guys saw our episode reviewing that version of the Fast and Furious series, which wasn't that good. It was entertaining and action packed, but the acting and the story itself was just weak. If they come correct and make movies like the Fast and Furious ones, then maybe we'll see something from there. But yeah, man, that Fast and Furious ending, I don't believe it. So. But next story we have here, and the last story that we have on the news for this week is it turns out Jared Leto is coming back as the Joker, Joe Manganiello coming back as Deathstroke in the Justice League Snyder Cut. That is absolutely nuts. I mean, you can't tell me now that this was a planned movie that they already had and ready to go. They're adding stuff. I think Brandon was just like, they didn't like that part. We'll do it different. not that they're just gonna make sure we like it more than the Justice League we got. So I mean, this is kind of crazy news. Brandon, what's your thoughts with having Jared Leto and Joe Manganiello coming back?
I'm waiting for the news that Jesse Eisenberg is coming back, so that way they can redo that last scene for the Legion of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And Al, if they do something like that, they're going to have to give us a second part to the Snyder Cut.
But I think this is them. If you do hear that they bring Heisenberg back for Lex Luthor, they're definitely going to move forward with a whole new series of movies. And I can see them bringing Ben Affleck back and bringing Henry Cavill back and moving forward with this if it does well, because you're restarting that whole storyline that they were leading up to with Justice League and Legion of Doom and getting them together to go at each other. Mm-hmm. So if that's, and then now you're bringing in Joker again, you're bringing Jared Leto back to play Joker. If you can have all those characters back and it comes off well, like I can see them saying, okay, you know what, let's give it another try.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm kind of worried about. Good movie, obviously, because they know what we don't like and what we didn't like about the first one. They're going to turn this into a 6-part, 1-hour episode series. I mean, if this comes out the way that it sounds like it's going to come out, with added footage, added villains, added story, there's only going to be the next thing the fans are going to want is to see this story continue. So I'm so looking forward to this. I'm not sure if there's like a time or a date that this Justice League Snyder Cut is going to be put out, but HBO Max, man, let's do this.
And you know what's funny is that the Snyder Cut gave them that opportunity to reboot it without necessarily rebooting it.
Right.
Because everybody was calling for this version to come out. So it's a way of saying, you know what, let's try it again. Let's give the fans what they actually wanted. Let's refilm a couple of scenes to give them the scenes that they were looking for.
Right.
And we'll just say that we're releasing the Snyder Cut that they always thought was there anyway.
Uh-oh. So Brandon's going to start asking for the Iron Man 3 Snyder Cut.
Yeah, it doesn't exist? Come on, the Mandarin? Like, I'm waiting now for HBO Max to be the exclusive place for the Justice League sequel. Because if they are putting out, like you guys said, like the time on this thing is going up as we talk about it. Like before it was a 4-hour movie. Now it's a 6-hour series. Like a series, like what the fuck are we talking about? So if that's the case, and this is a movie that isn't going to be in the movie theaters, I foresee, like DC has Titans and it has all these other things on HBO Max right now. I foresee not going to a theater and continuing this on the DC kind of movie verse in a sense, right, but putting this exclusively on HBO Max as a sequel. If it does well. Mm-hmm. The way the DC movies are working, I don't think they're going to make that kind of change to their planning and this and that, no matter how well it does. Because I think they're so stubborn and set in their ways of like, shit, it failed, like whatever, we got Batman though, so I think that they're going to be those kind of people where HBO Max is going to throw that deal like, yo, Justice League 2 on HBO Max.
Yeah, man.
And it could be however long you want it to be.
That's going to be nuts if they do that, man. I'm telling you, I think there's a plan here that we don't know about, man. Yeah, there's way too much money being put into this, way too much time being put into something that was supposed to be just a director's cut of an old movie. Mm-hmm. Something's up. Something's up.
This is it. I think that's the plan.
Yeah, man. Now, listen, that's the news of the week, man. If you guys out there listening, if you have any comments, any questions or thoughts about what we just talked about, feel free to leave a comment below on the YouTube app or YouTube page, or just send us an email at therealfanreview@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Now we're going to get into our movie review for the week. We're going to go with a non-spoilers because, again, these one of those things where it's hard to not spoil. So this is going to be a pretty quick thing, right? Borat, the subsequent movie film. We'll do a non-spoilers right now, real quick, kind of just saying if we suggest you see this movie and quick thoughts about the movie. And then we'll follow along to our spoiler versions because there's no way to not talk about certain parts or aspects of this movie because it's It's pretty freaking crazy. So let's get right into it. Al, man, what were your thoughts of this Borat subsequent film movie?
Oh man, this movie had me dying from beginning to the end, man. I was enjoying myself. I don't remember laughing this much for the first one.
Right.
So I thought this movie was hilarious. The bouncing back and forth between Borat and the co-star, what's her name, Maria Bakalova, that played his daughter.
She's like a Bulgarian actress, right? Like a big time actress.
Yeah. It was hilarious. I'm telling you, the scenes. There were certain scenes where I'm like, only this movie could do that scene. Like, there's no way any other movie would, even a comedy, would put this scene in there.
Right.
And then just to see that we knew he was acting, and they're playing out these scenes for the purpose of the movie, but the people that are in the scenes think this shit is real. Yeah. And I'm wondering what these people are saying to themselves when they see themselves in this movie, man.
Oh my God!
Like, they had to consent, right? Like, they had to consent.
They had to sign off. Yeah.
Like,
had to sign off saying they were okay. And let me tell you something. I'm shocked that some of these people signed off saying they're okay with this.
Oh my God! How?
I don't know, dude.
I mean, they already made it out there. Giuliani, how the hell did you get him to sign off on that?
And then to have, like, what happened this week.
Yeah, kid. How? Like, they must have told him it was something else.
I'm telling you.
Sign this permission slip for your kid. And then it was really the release, because there's no way.
Oh, my God, man. And now you recommending people watch this thing?
Definitely, kid. Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, you have to watch this. I mean, especially in this environment, if you can take a joke, regardless if you're the joke, then watch it.
That's why we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, there's some people that, because you could tell that there's some people that were made fun of. There's certain people of a certain leaning that were made fun of. They're the butts of a lot of these scenes. So they may take it personal. They may get hurt a little bit. So maybe they shouldn't watch it if you can't take a joke and laugh at yourself. But everybody else, go watch this right now.
It's not funny, Al. That's why. Brandon, did you get a chance to watch Borat too?
Wow, wee, wow. Yeah, man, that movie had me rolling. I was rolling, and I'll be honest, I did not like the first one. It took me 4 watches of the first one to find it funny, and like, I like the first time I watched it, I couldn't get behind it because I guess I was watching it too seriously, So I watched it. I'm just like straight faced the whole time. 4 times I finally broke and I got it, and I got the messages and I got the this and I got the that. This movie from the first 10 minutes rolling. Oh my goodness. And Al is completely right. Like, not to give away any of the movie, this movie spends a lot of time in one place. One place in the United States, and it just rips them apart. And, like, and it comes down to like, oh shit, are they going to find that funny? Like, it's just like, did they really consent to this? And the things that happen and all the big events that really happen, you're like, I want to say on the political side of things, if you want to go there, you make your own mind, you make your own opinion about everything. The situations in this movie, were put there for the sake of having something and making it relevant and such and that. But there are scenes in this movie, man, that had me dying. Specifically between him and his co-star. There's a major scene, I'm not going to go into it yet. There's a major scene in the movie, towards the beginning, and she wants to feel a certain way and this and that. And, she ends up eating something and it turns into this whole big thing, man. And every step of the way was dying. If I have to rate this movie, I say go watch it right now. Have an open mind. If you kind of get the gist of what Borat is going to be making fun of, have an open mind. And if not, don't watch it because, he may be making fun of you and he may be making fun of what you believe in. And like I said, your opinion, your beliefs, but I honestly, I thought this movie was hilarious, hands down.
That is incredible, man. I gotta tell you guys, man, I didn't laugh as much as I thought I was gonna laugh at this movie, but half or more of this movie, I was like this. Oh shit. Oh, I would pause it, look at my wife and go, no. And you know, she described it best to me as this movie is basically a cake with a lot of layers, right? Because you can go into it just looking for a comedy and that, you know, that layer of comedy for you. But when you get deep inside of it, that's where the mind fuck comes, man. And I'm telling you guys, man, I kept thinking about this movie after, and like all the different things that I saw that bothered me, made me laugh, but at the same time was just like, I can't believe people think like this, act like this, and like kind of go along with things. We're gonna get into the spoilers. So.
Just like the first movie, I can't believe this movie was released. You know?
I can't believe it. And just real quick, I think in this movie there was one person who didn't sign off on the release, and there was a scene in a bathroom. The guy had his whole face was fuzzy, so he didn't sign the release. So that was one person. And also after the movie ended, I had to look up if this thing was like fixed or was it real. And it turns out only one person in this movie, actually two people in this movie, were onto that this was a movie, it wasn't real, and all that stuff. And it happened to be in a scene in a synagogue. So that was the only thing. And when I found out that was the one thing that was like the people were aware of what was happening, it made me feel a lot better about that scene, because that scene kind of like hurt me and bothered me a little bit inside. So, but guys, my personal take on it is I wouldn't say you need to see this. I would say you should see this movie because it is entertaining, thought-provoking, and again, if like Brandon said, if you're willing to laugh at yourself a little bit, because there's going to be a certain group of people that may be like, really? Fucking. But there's going to be a bunch of people who can look at it, laugh at it, and realize that not all people and everyone who thinks a certain way acts a certain way. So again, have an open mind and enjoy it for what it is, and also see it for what it is as well, because it is kind of like I said, it's kind of deep if you think about it after the movie. So listen, again, you should see it, and you don't need to rush to see it, kind of thing, depending on your values. So listen, again, this is hard to talk about this movie without getting into spoilers. So we're going to get into spoilers right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, or you're listening on the app there, or you're listening on your favorite podcast, you're going to want to skip this or maybe pause us and come back to us when you're done watching the movie. We're going to get into this movie because, again, the only way to really talk about this movie is talking about certain scenes, because it is nuts. So let's get right into spoilers. Brandon, that baby eating scene and the way they made it seem like he impregnated his daughter Tuda
Oh God,
was everything.
That made the whole movie for me. She has a baby inside of her. She wants it out. Well, God didn't want it that way.
But it's gonna hurt when it comes out, because the arms are like this.
He's like, I put it in her. I didn't think she would take it, but I put it in her. Oh, well, that's another story for another day, but I want it out. That scene, my dude, was hilarious. Yo, I give it to that doctor, because he was a champ. Like he held straight through for the whole thing.
Was he a champ though? I mean, listen, I get that he was put in a tough position at that moment, because again, his religious view was strictly about the baby, right? He didn't care that the thought he was having was that the dad put the baby in the daughter. He was just thinking about just the baby.
And that's the crazy part.
I couldn't get past the part that he's listening to someone basically say he impregnated his daughter. Yeah. But he didn't. But he's saying it like he did, and he's not saying anything about it. And I don't know. I felt a little uncomfortable with that, and I felt like, okay, you know what? He's He's concerned about the baby, and that's it. And I get that there's something to be said about that, right? Because he's on that side of the I guess the political sphere where he is strictly, I guess against abortion. So I can respect that, but I don't know. I just didn't like the fact that he kind of like said, "Hey, listen, whatever the situation is, it is. We're just gonna take care of the baby." That was a little weird feeling for me.
So that my thing right there is like, I want to know how they shot this movie. Like what was the idea behind? Am I gonna just go after all? And I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna say Republican agenda. All about Republican views and ideals and beliefs. Like, because that scene alone, just like you just said it, you nailed your head on it. It was just, the doctor is, not for abortions. He wasn't really about, the whole father impregnating his daughter thing. And he was just holding through, like, Jesus will take care of this family. He wanted this to happen, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like the way the bit went. And it was just like, how was this the idea? Was this the plan? Was the baby scene of her eating the cupcake shot after this? Like, what was it? What led into this? And why this scene? So like the thing behind a lot of these scenes, it blows my mind.
As crass as the joke was, and as like distasteful it was freaking genius, because she legitly ate the top of a baby. She ate the topping of a cupcake that was a baby, and they pretended as if she was impregnated with a baby. And all the wording was the same, though.
That was the thing. It was just like, I have this baby in my belly, I want it out. And the doctor was the one who took it as impregnated baby. Like, so like he was the only one taking it that way. And that was the crazy part, was he wasn't even listening to what they had to say. But then they just fed into it more, and they just kept doing it. And I was like, yo, this is crazy.
Al, man, for you, man, what was a joke or a scene that took you by shock or hilarious for you?
There was two. The one that really just made me like I had to just like grimace was the debutante dance. Was when they go, kid, and they were like, let's do our fertility dance. And she's like, but I have my blood moon or something like that, or moon blood.
My blood moon.
And they start doing the dance, and then you see as she's lifting the dress, you see the blood on the side of her thighs, and then you see her go down, and you see the blood. Oh, God.
Oh, okay.
And you look at the people, and they still are just watching. Some people left, but the rest of them are like still watching this, and they're like,
yo, how much would you buy my daughter for? $600.
And what is his daughter? That's disgusting, Dad. That's disgusting, Dad. And you know what? Kudos for her for stepping up and saying that. Yeah. Because they knew they were being recorded, and she still said it. Kudos. She should check her dad on that situation.
And then the other one that cracked me up was the plastic surgeon, when he's saying, I want her so that a guy wants to jump and attack her and have sex with her, and he goes, would you jump and attack her and have sex with my daughter? And he goes, if your dad wasn't here right now. And then he looks at the daughter, he goes, nice. And they high five.
Nice. Oh man, I gotta tell you another one that kind of got to me, man. And again, this is what I don't know. I guess my mental is in a different place lately, where this movie, again, a lot of the things that it showed me, it was kind of funny, but it bothered me more, and it left me with a shock face. Was the baker, when they went into the bakery shop. And he asked him he said, I need the biggest chocolate cake you can have to send to my prime minister. And she goes, okay, no problem. He goes, I want you to write something nice on the top of it. Can you please write, the Jews will not replace us, and 3 smiley faces. And she did it with no hesitation, no problem whatsoever. And the first thing I thought was, and this is probably the same person that doesn't want to make a cake for like a person that's in the LGBTQ population. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you will have no issue whatsoever writing, the Jews will not replace us on a cake. And she's like, "Can I help you with anything else, sweetie?"
Yeah.
I was just shocked by that. You know what I mean? That just again, the whole movie, I was just like this.
Can we just say that the whole movie basically shat all over Texas?
Mhm.
like it was in
Texas is a shit
Texas,
show.
and they
Yeah.
shat all over Texas, and it was so bad. We got a brother in Texas right now, and I'm just like, oh shit.
That's where you live, bro.
That's where you living, bro. They just shat on you on Borat. Did you watch that? They shat on you.
Listen, man, we got listeners in Texas too, man. But
Yeah.
some of the characters in Texas.
What's up, brother?
Al, how about this one, man? He has his daughter show up in Texas with him. She came on a crate with the monkey that she ate, right? Apparently, in the part of Kazakhstan that Borat's from, the daughter has to sleep in a cage. So they have this bit where they go to a store that sells cages. And he tells the guy, "Is this a suitable cage for women?" And the guy goes, "Yeah."
How many are you putting in there?
How many you put there? He's like, "Normally one." And I'm like, "Yo, dude, he's not questioning this.
Oh.
Not questioning this. This is crazy."
But yeah, and like you were saying, with a lot of these scenes, if you notice, it's money's involved. And what I was starting to wonder was, as much as, like you said, this group tends to talk about values and morals and family values and all that, they seem to be willing to accept whatever's being given to them because they were getting paid. And they didn't care about, oh, no, you're not supposed, what are you doing? Like, I thought the scene I thought you were going to go to was when she first arrived and she came out the box. The guy said, "Send her back," and they started hammering the crate back together, and the guy was helping him hammer it. Like, he knew a girl was in the box, and he was willing to hammer it close.
It's crazy. That's another thing. Like, again, more in shock. How are you closing the crate on a human being inside of a box? And you're acting like, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah.
Brandon, how about this one, man? Say you worked at a store that sent faxes. Would you let someone use that as a means of text messaging someone in another state?
No, another country.
What do you want to say? Sup. Sup. Nothing chilling you. Fuck. And he was just sitting there.
Wait. How did he respond? It looks like a bunch of angry faces.
No, wait. And then when he says, "You will be executed," and the guy just looked at him like, "What you want to say back?" Like,
What you want to say?
My God.
Dude, my favorite was like one of the opening scenes when he went to get the smartphone. And I fucking died. I died when he was there looking at the TV, calling back and forth, and then he pulled up the porn. And he goes, "I'll be right back. I have to use the bathroom, but don't follow me. You stay here."
Wait, but the phone was still connected to the television.
It said, what was it? Tall white guy, black girl, sex. That shit was great.
This is why I hate doing this with you guys.
He's like,
I'll sit there and say that a movie's not funny, and then we start talking about the movie and we start dying laughing together.
I said the movie was hilarious.
Who said this shit ain't funny?
You said you didn't laugh at half of it.
I didn't laugh like much, man, because I was in shock half of it. But now reliving it with you guys, it sounds ridiculous. What I'm saying.
Yeah, and the salesman is like, "Yep, he knows what he's doing. Yeah, he got it."
He's cranking it right now. He's cranking it.
He's showing them FaceTime, and he's like, "Shut up! Hold on a second. I'm talking to your twin brother."
It's rude.
Go ahead, brother O'Brien, speak.
Oh shit!
What are you, wizard? Oh my God, man. But a couple of scenes didn't do all that craziness, and it was okay to see. He went to a freedom rally, and he got the crowd to cheer on. Treat them like they're in Iran, or like treat them like I forgot what it was.
Yeah,
like
kill
Give him
him
the
or blow
Wuhan virus. Like, it was
yeah,
like,
give him the Wuhan
give him the Wuhan
virus.
flu. Give him the
give
Wuhan
him
flu.
the Wuhan flu. And then,
And they were chanting it back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
inject
what I'm
him with
saying.
the
Like,
Wuhan flu.
oh, kid, and treat them like they would in Iran and stuff like that. Oh, kid, kill.
Chanted it. Oh my god.
Oh man! And you know what's funny, man? There was certain things like when they was like CPAC. I was like, I know what CPAC is, and I'm like, he didn't show up there. And I looked it up. Sure enough, he was there, dressed in a Donald Trump suit, with a girl over his shoulders. Michael
Grab it by the
Pence.
pussy.
I give you the
Michael
girl.
Pence.
He wants to marry my daughter.
It's so crazy. Oh man.
But like going back to that scene was right when COVID came, and to hear the conversation, you know, and so like
It's only 15 people with COVID.
Yeah, only one case this week. We've got this under control. Yeah.
Oh,
and that actually was I think honestly one of the start of the most interesting part of the movie for me was starting at CPAC and hearing the conversation. It almost seemed like it was less about Borat at that moment and more about, look what things I want to show you, you know? So that was like the thing, like I was sitting there with my jaw dropped because like hearing that conversation, you know, hearing that speech and seeing all the people in that stadium, it was packed, you know, it was a packed stadium. This is the start of COVID. Hearing a speech talking about how the president's going to handle this because it's nothing, not a big deal. No one's worried here. It's only 50 people. Don't worry. If anything gets bad, we'll let you know. But don't worry, it's not going to get bad, you know? And then for that to transition to the next scene where all of Texas is deserted because everybody's supposed to be indoors. Like, you know, they're on the quarantine. And that's what amazed me the most was I didn't think that this movie was shot during quarantine. And to see that going to that freedom rally, that this was during quarantine.
Yeah.
Seeing everybody out in that field, everybody at that concert. It was basically a concert. You know, you're thinking about at that moment, that's April, May, you know, to see all of that kind of envelop, you're like, fuck, Texas, what you doing, man? What are you doing? Like,
It's kind of crazy, man. I like how they did the whole wrap it around to it was Borat who put the coronavirus everywhere.
I know, that was funny. It was like when they showed all the countries in English instead of in Kazakhstan. Like, you know, that was funny.
My goodness, man. And then let's just talk about before we get to the scene stealing part of the movie. What you guys think of Borat and Tudor? The two characters pretty much led us throughout the entire movie there. I mean, for just those two being in the movie, I know Al just said that he loved them. What about you, B? What you think about those two just carrying the movie pretty much the entire time and their story?
I thought the way they built the story and played off each other was great. You know, like, especially like she's big in Bulgaria, was it? I'm not too sure.
I think so.
But having, you know, someone who's, I would say unknown to me, I don't know if she's unknown to anybody else, but having someone unknown to me really shine her way through this movie, almost in essence, sometimes more than Borat, you know, to see that chemistry between those two and having that play off between each other was awesome. I thought they were incredible. I actually from her because I thought she did incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
How about you, Al?
Yeah, same thing. And then just the arc that they had, because Borat was Borat throughout the movie, but like they gave her an arc. Like when she started the movie, she had a unibrow, wild hair, was living off the floor of a cage. And by the end of the movie, she's a full-fledged reporter. You know, just to see that arc and to have it play out, you know, comically, but still play out over the course of the movie. And you don't feel like it's lost. Obviously, a parts of it you got to, you know, show disbelief, but she carried it with such that you just kept going from scene to scene and believing the progression. You know, accepting the progression, I should more say, because the scenes were just so good, so funny, and just so entertaining that I just followed and didn't say, okay, how'd she get from there to there? Like it just,
Right.
like, especially like when she all of a sudden started talking English, like, okay, fine. You had to say, where the hell did she learn English from? But
Yeah.
you know, it's whatever. It's funny because now they have to talk to Americans, so it makes sense that she'd speak English. But it was still funny. And like I said, her acting really did well because, Sasha is going to carry the scene. He's going to carry his part of the scene. So
Right.
to know that he didn't have to worry about her not carrying her part, it did well for the movie, and I think helped to make the movie as enjoyable as it was because there was no letdown.
I actually really appreciate it. Like you guys were saying, was the arc of the story, and my arc that I liked about the two of them was actually Borat's arc from being the typical quote unquote Kazakhstan, because I don't think he's really from Kazakhstan, and the culture of Kazakhstan was not really what he's following in the movie. It's this made up nonsense that he came up with, but the story of him, pretty much like, they said is you have sons and then you have basically nobody, even though he had a daughter. And towards this story of him hanging out with his daughter, having fun, joking around, having things happen, them spending time together towards the end of the movie where he's actually caring. He says, there's something happening in here. And the lady's like, yeah, it should hurt your heart. You're selling your daughter. You're like, and it was actually sweet for him in the story, even though again it's fake and we know it's just the comedy of it, but he ends up loving and missing his daughter, and that was pretty cute. I thought that was awesome and well done because it was you could see the progression from the movie from the beginning, how he felt about his daughter, how he's treating her, even from there was a point where she was really sad because the things didn't work out with Michael Pinnis. He let her stay inside his space for a living rather than in the cage outside. So that I just thought that was kind of sweet the way they did that. So they definitely acted their asses off, both of them, in this movie. So listen, let's talk about the big thing that everyone's talking about right now, which is our old mayor, Rudy Giuliani.
Rudy,
what happened, bro? That guy, something's off with that guy.
Yeah. Do you guys think he was really just tucking in his shirt?
he spent a long time tucking in his shirt.
Yeah. Who lays down on the bed to tuck their
Why
shirt
did he
in?
go into the bedroom? But it tells you everything. I mean, he was having drinks with her and everything. I thought the funny part is with all the COVID stuff they were talking about, and he was coughing like crazy in there. I would have been like,
What's up?
But I'm afraid to even think, and I think I know what would happen, but I don't want to know what happened if Borat didn't come in there. He jumped in there with his outfit on, saying, "Take me. I've been in jail. I know how to make my booty."
I've got skills with my mouth.
I got skills with my mouth from jail.
My butt is tighter than hers.
See, like a scene like that makes me wonder, did they try to get him in that position, kind of a thing? Like, was that the aim?
Too,
So
I think they were get him into whatever position, and then when it looks like it's going to go too far, I'll bail you out. Because I think he must have been outside that room. They must have been listening somehow, and there may be, I don't know, I'd have to watch the scene again. There had to have been some sign.
She was checking the microphones. When they were checking the microphones with each other, I think that was her making sure her microphone was working.
Yeah, because there had to have been something for him to know, okay, jump in now.
Right.
Because like I said, he was laid in bed, like he was messing with his pants.
He was tucking his shirt.
Yeah, come on. So
he claims that's all he was doing, was just tucking in his shirt. Yeah. That was a very compromising position.
Shirt, had to keep tucking. Had to keep tucking there.
He was adjusting the mic. Okay.
Tommy Hilfiger,
that's
very
what we call
short.
it too, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man. But now this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about this movie is your thoughts on this part. You know, like you said, Al and Brandon as well, is that if you are from a certain political background, you are more inclined to not like this movie. And I'm wondering if the message is lost of what he was trying to show and what he was trying to say, because this goes into the layer parts of this movie, right? He's making a joke, but these are real people in real situations and their response and how they're acting. And it shows a lot. You know what I mean? Like, will people who need to see this and people who are in this movie themselves, will they look at this and say, I look ridiculous. I look and sound crazy for going along with all of this stuff?
You would think so, because, like, for example, the two guys that he ends up rooming with, that he goes back to the house, like, for the guy to sit there and cite off all these conspiracy theories that they don't know. They're even telling you, that's what I heard. So yeah, I believe it. That's what I heard. They were citing stuff that they heard about Hillary Clinton, so they believed it. They were citing stuff they heard about Obama, they believed it.
Right.
But yet, when he started talking about, like, the women, or was it about the women? And he goes, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory." like I'm like,
that the women in Kazakhstan can't touch themselves.
Yeah, like, I'm like, all right, he's able to realize that that's crazy and that's just a conspiracy theory, but all this other stuff that he's hearing, that they're, you know, what was it, molesting children or something with the children and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that you're willing to believe just because you don't like that group of people.
Right.
But as outrageous as it is, you are willing to believe that conspiracy theory just based on it. Oh, yeah, it's about them. I don't like them, so it's probably true.
Right.
But something like this, you're finally able to honestly say, oh, no, that's just a conspiracy theory. So it showed me they have the ability to separate what's crazy and not. They just choose not to because the subject matter is people they don't like.
Right.
So it just shows that as much as you try to say, it's not that they can't, it's that they just don't want to. Because he could have been able to separate it if it had been anybody else. If that story was about a group that he supported, he all of a sudden wouldn't have believed it.
Right.
But just because it was a group of people he didn't like, he wanted to believe it with no evidence to support it.
It's crazy. And look at how, again, and I think one of the things that speaks to me a lot is the concert that he started having the crowd chant. They didn't second guess it. They just went along with it, had no problems saying what they were saying. You know, it is just, you know, that could be part of, like, almost like mob mentality, where if everyone's doing one thing, you start doing it yourself also. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, you hear what you're saying. You know what you're saying.
You know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And even if you thought, oh, because you know what they're going to defend. Oh, it was a joke. We knew he was joking, this and that, blah, blah, blah. There's some jokes you don't say or you don't repeat or you don't give credibility and credence to. Someone joking that kill people, kill reporters, do this, kill Obama, like,
it's crazy.
Because, like, to the flip side, if say Trump loses, and now is it going to be okay for people that don't like Trump afterwards to say, yeah, kill Trump? Like, now because it's the guy you like, you know, is it going to be okay for me to now do it? Hey, you were doing it before about the guy you didn't like. Is it okay now for someone to do it about the guy you don't like? Or are you going to say, oh, you don't say that, he's the president?
Right.
You know, and that's the part that I don't like, is like, I can understand, hey, listen, there's always going to be two sides to every situation, those that feel one way and those that feel the other.
Right.
But you can't be a hypocrite about the situation and say, it's okay for me to say everything about the people I don't like, but you guys,
it's not okay for you to say that.
Yeah, but it's not okay for you to do the same.
Like, I got you.
So that was the only part that I was like, I hope they realize that. To your point, I hope they see this and like, yo, we were kind of over the line.
Yeah. How about you, Brandon? Man, what's your thoughts on the way that this movie played out for some of the people in the movie?
You know, I hope the same. I hope a lot of this was taken out of context. I know there's some things that you obviously seen that are completely in context. I hope a lot was taken out of context for the sake of the movie. And I hope that the people who have seen this movie, that were in this movie, kind of see maybe some things or maybe have changed their opinion and or thought in this time since the filming of it. But I also want to pinpoint, there are people in this movie who I would say in their own way maybe have gone out of their way to do something nice. Like the guy offered up his home, his house and home to Borat, to a complete stranger, without knowing that this was a movie, without knowing that he might be paid for it, without anything. And it looked like he was there for a couple weeks, if not a month or so. Like, it looked like he was there for a while. So he let a complete stranger into his home to take care of him during this quarantine.
Right. That says a lot about them.
That says a lot about this man and his character.
There's compassion there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is a complete stranger who, by listening to his accent, you can tell was from somewhere not in the United States, and so I know a lot of people would say like, oh, this movie kind of treats the Republican Party or Republican believers or the right, the left, whatever it may be, or treats people in a certain light. But, this man, he did a great thing. He opened up his door for someone, like who was in need, who was out in the street during the quarantine and didn't know quarantine was happening. So he took it upon himself to open up his door for somebody and house them for weeks to months, and so
fed them.
Yeah, and he fed him. He gave him. He opened up his house and home, basically. So that was my one big takeaway was like, listen, if we're gonna say this movie was unfair to somebody, at the same time, here is one character who really kind of went above and beyond what, and things that he was saying later on, not right. But listen, this guy also opened up his home. So some of this could have been situational movie-based things, could have been taken out of context and snipped for the basis of the movie. But that was just one part that I kind of reflected on, because then you think about it in our own situation, would I have done that for somebody? If I was in that same circumstance, would I have done it? Right. And so kudos to that guy for really kind of doing that, whatever intent was there. He opened up his home to a stranger.
Yeah, man,
now,
absolutely. Man.
How did they film this stuff, though? That's the question I kept asking. Like, for example, there, you think you're so you're taking Borat's character in. How do you explain the movie crew that's coming with him? Like,
the cameraman.
Or was it one camera guy? How many people did he think he was taking in? Like, what was the scenario that they explained to him? Because there's clearly a camera crew, at the minimum, one guy with a camera going back and forth, filming everything y'all are doing. Right. How did that get explained? So there's certain parts of it that I'm like, how did that get filmed? And they were okay with it.
Yeah.
So
I thought the same thing with the babysitter. And when she was driving Tudor to the hotel or to the clinic to get her
like a dash cam.
Yeah. So I'm like, there's certain things that are believable or not, but also I tend to be like, I don't want to be like those people who think that there's something wrong or something trying to get you every single time. But I feel like there's ways that people can manipulate us at times too, right? Mm-hmm. Because notice that the only good person in the movie was the black lady who was the babysitter, who had a kind heart, who tried to give strength and guidance to Tudor to not do the breast enhancement surgery, Mm-hmm. So I'm like, is that on purpose? Yeah. And you don't want to fall into some of those things, but at the same time, it was still good to see someone stand up and say this is wrong and you shouldn't believe that, and you should think for yourself and you're fine and you're pretty as you are. You shouldn't have to do these things. In comparison to that Instagram. The Instagram person who was telling her that she had to be weak and, find somebody with money and stuff like that. Yeah, submissive and all that stuff like that. So, it was good to see the two comparisons, but at the same time, I also don't want to fall for there's chances of being manipulated a little bit because we don't know really what was told to people or how they signed on to these movies. Like I was saying, there's got to be an explanation to why there's a camera crew following these people around, even at the store where the cage was sold. He may be buying the cage, but there was still a camera person. He's got to be questioning why the cameraman is there and all that stuff. So it is pretty crazy, man. But again, man, listen, you guys hear us talking about this Borat movie. Try to form your own opinion. Give it a check. It's on Amazon Prime. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. It's one of the shows that they put on Amazon Prime, and it's right there. Go ahead and get it. A lot of people have Amazon, or somebody with Amazon. Get in that Amazon Prime there. Yeah. So listen, the last take on this is again from me on Borat. Again, I think you should see it and have an open mind about it. It is kind of crazy. I laugh more with these guys now than I did when watching the movie itself, because I was in shock throughout the entire movie. But I'm wondering now, is it more funnier now talking to these guys about it? So for me, I think you should see it. It's out there. It's thought provoking, and definitely, again, like my wife said, that there's layers to this movie. So that's my thoughts on there. Brandon, your final thoughts on Borat?
I completely agree. I would go into this movie, you heard us talk about, this at this moment, and, maybe you see some of our beliefs, maybe you see our values, whatever it may be. But I think go into this movie with an open mind that you're going to watch a movie. And if you see something or learn something or just enjoy it, that's your take on it.
All right. And Al, yourself?
Same thing. Watch it. I mean, everybody should watch it and just enjoy it for what it's supposed to be, a funny movie.
Absolutely, man. And that's our thoughts on Borat, the subsequent movie film there. And then the last thing we're going to do tonight, guys, just to kind of end you guys off, we're going to give you 3 horror movies, 3 of the best horror movies that we like, because Halloween's coming up. So maybe this week you want to watch a horror movie or 2. So I'm going to suggest 3. Brandon will suggest 3, and Al suggest 3. Or if you guys don't have 3, whatever you suggest. I'm going to start off with my 3, and that's going to be Scream 1. Fantastic horror movie to watch. Another movie that's not so good, but I'm telling you, I'm going to recommend this movie because it has an interesting twist at the end, and it's The Others with Nicole Kidman. Okay. It's a horror movie, and while you're watching it, you're thinking one thing, and at the end, completely flips it.
Psychological thriller.
Oh, psychological thriller. I tell my wife to watch horror movies by saying it's a psychological thriller. And then the last movie I'm going to suggest you guys watch after Scream and The Others is going to be, let me see what's a good one I can recommend for you guys. You know what? I'm going to stick with the classic It. Pennywise, the first one though, of the new movies that just came out. The second one was okay, but the first one, I always say this to Brandon. I remember telling him it was Goonies, and then we saw it again for the second time, and he looked at me at one of the scenes. He goes, "This is not fucking Goonies." So It Chapter 1, The Others, and Scream Part 1 are for me. Al, what are 3 of your best horror movies you suggest people watch?
All right. You got to go old school. For me, it would be Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one.
Ooh, okay.
Definitely would have to be The Exorcist. And then there's so many in this series of the movies, but I would definitely go with The Conjuring, the first one.
Yeah, that's a good one. The Conjuring, the first one's amazing. Yeah. Amazing, the first Conjuring there. Brandon, how about you, man? 3 movies from your side. What are you thinking?
Number 1, if I'm going to go old school, I'm going to go Child's Play.
Oh.
Because that movie still scares me. I still don't like Chucky at all. So that's number 1. I would go Insidious. The first Insidious. That one, I think up until the end of the movie, that one was really scary. Right. Until you got like the devil. And then I would say The Conjuring, the first Conjuring.
Yeah, man, I should have thought about the first Conjuring. You know what? Take the others out. Conjuring 1. Conjuring 1. Oh, yeah. Insane, man. So listen, man, that's going to be our podcast for this week. We hope you guys are safe during this Halloween and during this time of COVID-19 going all over the place and, increasing in the cases around the world there. So everyone, just please be safe out there. Follow their, your scientific mandates out there with the masks and, crowds, stay away from those things. Be safe out there. Theaters are opening up again. So, play it safe, be safe, take care of yourself first and others, all right? So coming from Long Island, New York, we got my brother B.
Au revoir.
And we got our manager, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
myself, Hav. We thank you guys. And remember, you could always find us on therealfanreview.com. Subscribe below, listen to our podcast, and we'll be back with you guys on next time. So signing off, till next time.